Hi, this is TBLwithOre, and you're welcome. So excited you joined us today. Oh yes, it's never the same without you. So I'm glad you're here. Last week, were you with us? Because if you were, then you watched the episode where we spoke about divorce and, how it affects children. When I was young, I used to watch my parents, have these fights. There were times I thought they should just go their separate ways, I remember even counseling my mother and said, why don't you just, let's just move on. And she used to tell me that, you think it's like that. What can I say? My guest today has been through it all. And I believe that just listening to her today, we'll have so much to learn about how divorce affects children and the spillover, to their own children and their own lifestyle. I'd like to welcome my guest, Dayo, and thank you so much. She's an engineer and entrepreneur. She's just, she's in between. Are you divorced?
No.
All right. So
I'm separated.
She's separated, and she'll be telling us, where it started from, where she is, and what good children go through, expressing what I can't express any better. Thank you for being with us today. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. So Dayo, tell us what you can remember. How old were you? When did you see the first fights with your parents?
I was 9.
Can you remember? Yeah. What did you see?
My father was an engineer as well. So he came back from one of his trips where he had gone to construct a dam at Kainji. So on his way back, of course he had picked one or two things apart from this engineering work. And
what do you mean? We don't understand. What one or two things?
Well, some few play things,
Okay.
And unfortunately for him, the women left the panties in his bag, his traveling pack. We had a pilot case. We used to pack his things when he was going.
Okay.
So there were panties in the pilot case. I was sent to go and fetch the pilot case from the boot when he got in. So I opened the boot in the garage, brought it out. Then I didn't want to take it upstairs to take it to his room first before I put it in the machines. So I just opened the bag and I found those panties. They were funny shapes. Well, let me not go into that. So I grabbed them and I was holding them. My mother now called me and said she saw me take them out of the bag and asked me what was that. All of a sudden I noticed a serious expression on her face, like as if somebody died. It was like, I can't explain it. I just felt somehow my holding those panties and something that it was something like evil had just walked.
And it didn't dawn on you then. You didn't even understand what was going on.
What was going on. I just felt that, like when evil just creeps in on you, you cannot phantom what it is. So my mother rushed at the panties, took them outside and burnt them. She fetched kerosene, went to the BQ and burnt all of it. So when she burnt it, then I wondered that what's wrong? Why the burning? Why did this? Why did that? Then I shortly noticed my father come back. He was quiet. He was withdrawn. He was like, he even picked the broom. We had the cooks and all this. We had quite a large house. So he started sweeping. How would this man be sweeping? So all these questions in a tiny mind, I had no experience to process it.
Okay, so he's sweeping. He was trying to show he was sorry or something.
Remorse or something like that. So my mother was just so quiet. She was just so withdrawn. I saw her lie very still on the sofa all through the night till the next day. She wouldn't go up. So and I wondered what could have caused all these things. So I didn't understand. I just know that in our house we couldn't talk really the next day. Everything became so strained. Fear. I was afraid to talk. I was afraid to move. I was afraid to eat because I don't know what I would say, what I would do. Nobody was beating me. The tension was there. Afraid. There was so much fear. So my father now tried the next day. He tried to, all of a sudden the next evening, I don't know what, maybe they done something. He now came back and said that my mother should produce those panties.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Okay.
That is funny.
He was bold enough.
Yes.
To go meet
That's 2 years. Yes.
and
About 2-3 days. The panties.
of his.
Yes. And that they told him that she has gone to use it to do medicine.
Okay.
So all hell broke loose that day. There was so much. I can't even imagine. He was busy pacing up and down, going up and down, going. Our house was built like on 3 plots. He was going around the guy. Oh, this is something. My mother was saying, what nonsense.
It was in private. It was everywhere.
It was everywhere because when I picked those panties, it was in the, our sitting room is just open plan. You know those kind of open plan house, the big open plan sitting, open plan dining. There is just the kitchen that is walled off, and even there's a whole long window in it, so that you if you're in the kitchen, you see everything happening in the parlor, in the dining, that kind of. It was only the bedrooms upstairs that had. So there was no, in our house we had no privacy. If you wanted privacy, you either go and lock yourself in the study, and then you can have. Even the guest room was opening straight into the sitting. Those kind of house. So there was no privacy. So and I wondered what could have brought all these panties, this, that. So I now noticed. So and I felt okay. My mother and father now became very, very estranged. From that time, my father's character just flipped. He was somebody that he was very strong man and very, very clever. He was, as an engineer, he was really, really extremely clever, and he had a wicked sense of humor. He could laugh at anything, anybody, But all of a sudden he changed. Every time he came home, if we were watching the telly, we have to go and switch it off, take a cloth, because it's these big televisions, they heat up, those cathode ray one. We have to dip it in a towel, and it will be cold. We will go and wring it. We'll take water from the fridge and use it to wipe the back of the fridge, so that when my father comes, he will not know we've been watching telly. We could no longer watch telly in our own house. We could no longer.
Oh, because of the strain between himself
and yes,
and your mom.
Yes. So from there, everything started to degenerate. It degenerated. My father started. He now took on the act of a terrorist. Yes, he became a real terror.
Take it out on you,
Yes. I was beaten within inches of my life. If I took an orange and I wasn't given permission, I was beating the hell out of. His favorite weapon was a fan belt. He used to beat me with a fan belt. I have scars all over my hands. Fan belt. Whenever I look at them, I remember. Do you understand? And 2, he will make you stoop down all night.
All night?
All night. And he won't sleep.
He won't sleep?
Yes.
Watching you stoop down?
Yes, all
because
night.
He was angry.
He was angry. And we were the weak, we were helpless. We had no way. Then, when my mother now felt that, look, she wanted to spare me at least. My brother had turned to teenage. I was already a teen, She wanted to spare me. And I remember another one, his birthday. It was his 13th birthday when, you've turned teenage. So we had a big balcony party for him. My father came and embarrassed him in the party, pursued all his friends, threw away the deck, threw away the food, threw one of the most nastiest tantrums and the most aggressive tantrums I had ever seen. But all the while, my mother kept quiet. Because of her training as a lawyer, and she was a magistrate then, she coded everything, the dignity of the bar and all those things. She was not one to talk much, not to her relatives, not to her friends. She had no friends. And no relatives came to our house. So we were living in mini prison.
Wow, nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Nowhere, all by yourself.
Yes. We were living in a mansion of a prison that had Camaros, Benz, Range Rovers, any car you could imagine. Do you understand? But you were in a prison. I wasn't even allowed to visit my friend. The driver had to come and wait, If a lesson is just down my road, I can't walk from it. It was real full-fledged prison.
Wow, that was something else. Whew, I don't know how you feel just listening to that, and I think you can but imagine. Please stay tuned, we'll be right back. Do you know young talents? Age 6 to 13. Then it's time to put them in the spotlight. We're giving children with unique talents the opportunity to shine on our show, Touched by Love.
with Ore. To participate, SMS child's name, age, and talent to 070-661-51910 or 070-1199-0127 or mail us at touchedbylove.ore@yahoo.com. For more information, log on to www.touchedbylove.ore.tv. Audition starts in August. Send in your entries now, cause every child is a star.
Wow, thank you for joining us. And if you're just joining, we were talking about the influence of divorce on children. Our guest, Dayo Olufao, has been telling us the gory detail of the tension that it raised in her life. And I'd like to ask her right now, how do you describe yourself right now? And do you think that who you are right now was influenced by, what you saw growing up?
Well, I'm stronger now. I'm better. Those influences made me a better person,
So going back to the tension in the home, and so what happened after the 13th birthday, and what were the things you still remember about your childhood that traumatized you?
When I was 13, I just had because I was an extrovert as a child. I was called a talkative. My middle name was Shokoro. I'd just come talk and hug you, and I was always all over everybody. You understand? Mm-hmm. I was really, really an extrovert. I loved talking to people. I loved poking them. I gathered neighborhood children, teach them. That was the way I was. But because of that influence, I turned into an introvert. Even in boarding house, I was always a loner. I'd leave the whole classroom and go into the bushes. I never used to want to mingle with anybody.
Because you were hurting?
Yeah, I couldn't even know what I was feeling. All I know is that I couldn't understand it. I just felt people are trouble. I just don't need to be any near them. Then if any of my friends misbehave and they do this, it just reinforces some more that people are trouble. So I didn't want to have anything to do with them. So when I was in Form 3, I used to go alone. The new site of my school, I went to Federal Government Girls College, Dayo. So there's a new section they were building. So there were lots of classrooms empty and vacant. So I would leave there, take my book and make a small corner in one where I was and just not be there till they started sanctioning me. Because I could understand what I was reading, so I was quite clever. That one didn't affect me. So whether I'm there, I'm not there. I learned from books. I didn't need to be taught. I'm the type that don't like, you don't need to teach me. You just have to have it in the textbook form. And once you open the book, I don't even want to hear you talk about it. So I didn't, even in the university, I'm sorry to say, I hardly attended lectures. It was mostly from textbooks. I was a textbook addict. Once it's in the textbook, maybe they've written it in the textbook. Why must I come and sit down and then you tell me all sorts of long story? The only thing I would probably go was to the tutorials. But any other thing, I don't want to hear it. You understand? I don't want to know it. I do hope my children are not hearing this.
So who do you think really you were? Well, like, was it your dad or like your mom? Come on.
My mom loved books. She taught me the love of books really early. She loved books. My father loved to calculate and he liked to design things. So I mixed the two of them because without I didn't do building. I read mechanical. Without being in the structural field, I'm able to enter a building and build it, design it, structure it, do everything that is needed without having so I don't know whether it was that one passed to me through my dad, and then the love of books came from my mother.
It's so good to see you laugh right now, but there was a time you attempted suicide. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, I was 13, and every time I came home from school, the house would get hotter and hotter. My father would do all sorts of things. He won't drink in the house. He would say we were going to poison him. He started to abuse us verbally, apart from the physical beating. The verbal abuse, that we're going to end up killing him, that we're going to do this. Then he would line me and my brother up and tell us that he had other children outside, and those ones were computer brains, that we were dullards, that we were idiots, and we were this, and we would stand up and have to swallow that.
How did that affect you? How did you feel when he was saying that?
I just kept on going backwards and backwards into myself. I didn't want to be near my friends. I didn't want to be near anybody. I didn't want to be, even my mother, I didn't even want to, because in my mind, I just felt you are the one that chose this jerk.
This man.
I chose this man. Oh my God. And if you are listening to me, you know, why didn't you just leave him? Let us go away. Do you understand?
I can identify with that feeling. You know, you're watching all
And
this.
then I ran away 3 times from the house.
You ran away 3 times?
Yes.
Did you go?
I went to sleep in the church. My church, I used to go to an Anglican church. I was the only one that used to go to church in my house.
Why did you run away? Because of the tension, or was there something happen?
You don't know what you're going to say that my father wouldn't turn into
Lion.
into lying. Yes, he would say you're lying. My mother's sister had a child in Ogbomoso. She was married to this young, so she had the child. And at Ogbomoso and Oyo, I don't know the difference. I was going to FGGC Oyo, and I was preoccupied. So when he drove into the house, she had finished making the meal. She asked me to serve him. Even though she was still doing her duty she asked me to serve. So she said, "Where did your mother go?" I said, "Oyo." Unwittingly, you know, if you see the beating. I ran out of the house, no slippers, no nothing. I slept rough for 3 days. I was drinking, thank God there was tap water. Then you could drink from the tap in Bodija. You could open the tap and Waterworks was working. I was hanging by the church. So it was the 3rd day when the police had come, and then I would come and watch my house and see whether I could come back. So I'd hide in the gutter and I would see all of them. The 3rd day when I saw my mother crying, she said if I wasn't found, she was going to die. I just walked into the house. I came out of the gutter and I walked in, and well, those are past. I cannot. So I walked in. Then they all ran hugging me. Then my father now said he promised me he will never do it again. He's sorry. Is this? But those were just words.
I've heard that hurting people hurt people, and the truth of the matter, at that time, did you actually realize that your parents were both hurting? I mean, did it make sense to you? I mean, you were a child. Did you understand what they were going through?
No, I didn't. I really blamed myself. I thought I was the reason. That was why when I was 13 and I needed to go home, we were going to go home on holiday. So instead of me to go home, I now thought, how do I survive in that kind of place? And I had developed childhood migraine and ulcer. So I was always on medication. So I had a big giant bottle of Dispirine. It was Dispirine then. So I had to use every day. They couldn't give me the adult size migraine medicine. So I was to take the Dispirine after every meal. So when I don't know, the devil is very strong. It just made me think, look, end it all. Don't follow them home. Let them carry you from this school in a body bag. So I took all the Dispirine, 80 tablets. Jesus. Now I know that it's the grace that I'm standing here, because at 8 tablets of Panadol taken like that, or 10 would kill you.
Oh my
now,
God.
I took 80.
80?
Yeah. Then I went to Leoma. I just wanted out.
Out?
Anyhow, since my mother wouldn't leave, and my mommy's sisters wouldn't come near us, you know, nobody, were in isolation. They wouldn't come near us because, of course, they perceived we had a lot of money. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. You know, but when you are poor, people rally around you to support you. When you are No, they do. Okay. Honestly, from experience, I've seen it. Okay. If a neighbor's child falls down in a face me and face you house, you see how all of them will rush and you know, yes, there's still abuse there, but they still come together. But when you are living in a mansion, in one isolated, exclusive area, there's nobody. There's nobody
because they think you've got it all.
Oh, so if they could just nobody. So there's nobody. My mommy's sisters wouldn't come near us, and they lived at the other side of town. Nobody would come. My mother had no friends because she too was so ashamed to let people know, come to her home, was going through. Wow. You know. So.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're that parent there who is allowing your child to watch you fight and you're taking it out on that child, you need to sit down and watch this show today and know exactly what you're doing. Our guest today, Dayo, is sharing with us what she had to go through and how it affected her. You know, she became withdrawn, tried to commit suicide. And right now, I'm rather concerned about how this affected her when it came to relationships with the opposite sex. How did it affect you, Dayo?
Because I never wanted to put my needs. I just never wanted to put my needs out. I always turned myself into like a gift to someone. My own needs, my life didn't matter. It affected me.
Relationship. Could you tell us with a relationship with one or two guys, and in fact, and how it affected? Because you were always a giving person. Yeah. Why was that?
The first
You
relationship.
feel that you always had to satisfy the men?
No.
Or what?
Why? I didn't even want to have anything to do with the men. When I was younger, I remember telling my mother jokingly that I'd never marry. You know, I walked up and I said, "Mommy, forget it. I'm never going to marry. This one, I will never do it." But you see, along the line, I found myself the same feeling of having to always keep to yourself that family or friends, they're dangerous. I found myself in a really dreadful situation. One of my relatives did something really bad to me, took me somewhere, and I got raped.
Oh my God! And who was there to run to?
There was nobody. And
your father, your mother?
No.
But did they know?
My relative's mother sensed that her daughter had done something that was really bad.
That's the son, you mean?
No, it wasn't the son that raped. She took me to her boyfriend's house, and her boyfriend's flatmate raped me.
So what happened? What did you do?
It was a setup. I was set up. Do you understand? I felt set up. I thought I had no sister, so I don't know how. I only the boarding house girls, and we used to bond in the boarding house a lot, eat, drum. We had a really lovely time but when you go home, there's nobody else. You have no sister, so I didn't know what it's like to have a sister. So when this relative of mine, I knew her. I just saw this is going to be my sister, so I just trusted her like that. And I didn't even promise myself marriage, no way. This one, boyfriend, no way. Nothing, no boyfriend, no nothing. I didn't have time for all that rubbish. And then I now went with her to visit her boyfriend, you understand? And I was on my way to visit my school mother. It was an innocent thing, but it was a setup. She set me up, do you understand? It was a setup. So that one made me go crazy. That was my second attempt at suicide. I attempted suicide twice. So yes, that was my second attempt at suicide.
What did you do?
That one, it was just God that intervened. It was just the Spirit of God that said you won't die.
Wow. That's quite enlightening. Thank you so much for joining us on this show. Airful, right? I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And I'm motivated to dream more, see more, achieve more. And you should do it together with me. Come on. There was a spillover because you did get married and today separated. Why is that?
Well, let me put it like this. Most children of separated divorced parents are going to end up divorced. It's this very sad truth. Because you see, it's like being raised with wolves. You are raised in the middle of a wolf pack. Do you understand? So all you know is survival.
Don't keep love inside your heart, but give it away to someone in need. Like a seed, it just might die, but it will come right back to you. Harvest untold if you give it away. To bring healing to the world. It is time. It is time. It's time to bring healing to the world. It is time. It is time. It's time to bring healing to the world.
Fathers and mothers, sisters, brother, how we need each other so